Sherlock. It'll be grand.
Oh, sure to be Jesus, sure, look at here we are again. Another fine, glorious episode.
Very good words.
Thank you very much. Another fine, magnificent episode of Sherlock. It'll be grand. A podcast where two Irish fellas, that's me, Owen, and Dan is with me.
I certainly am.
He certainly is. And we talk about movies and stuff. Dan is looking a bit shell-shocked, probably in response to the movie we watched today, which I can't wait to talk about. But we dropped this one. This is a bonus features special episode edition that we said we'd throw it just because I could not let it slide without talking about this movie.
Look, it fits this channel perfectly.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So, surprise, everyone! I spoiled it because I told everyone we were doing it at the end of the last episode, but here we are.
I think we're just going to do that from now on anyway.
Yeah, probably. Today is Wild Mountain Thyme.
I like that you didn't call it Wild Irish Thyme. Like I have been forever.
You've been calling it all sorts of random things.
Always Wild Irish Thyme.
Wild Irish Thyme. Mountain Ireland world. Land of the Thyme Ireland.
To be fair, I think you could do any of those variations and you still get this movie.
It could be. Yeah. Wild Mountain Thyme, written and directed by John Patrick Shanley, which is and the movie's based on a play of his called Outside Mullingar. Oh God, how to even describe it? It's a fanciful sort of romantic wallop over the back of the head with Irish fantastical nonsense, basically. It stars Jamie Dornan, who was once an Irishman, probably not anymore, Emily Blunt, Christopher Walken, and John Hamm is in there. Set in the mountains of Mayo for some reason, although in the play it is naturally set outside Mullingar, but I'm assuming the director arrived in Ireland for the first time in his life, saw Mullingar and said, actually, it doesn't look like how I imagined it in my head. So they went to Mayo. And the movie tells the story of two neighbouring...
Which is still in the 1600s, you know?
Yeah. The movie tells the story of two neighbouring farmers, Rosemary Muldoon and Anthony Riley, played by Emily Blunt and Jamie Dornan, and their star-crossed romance among the wilds of Ireland.
Not sure how it's star-crossed though, because like the neighbours,
they're neighbours.
It's like they're meant to be together.
I mean, a lot of it doesn't make sense. It's it defies description in many ways. I think it's certainly.
It does.
I mean, I think you could. I don't know. You could say it's shenanigans between Irish farmers.
There was a little bit of that. And that does happen, you know. I mean, we've had some like best stage plays, you know. For example, like The Field is pretty much just a bunch of farmers and people giving out about a field. You know, it's
just fair.
It's an ongoing drama thing. You know, we're from a very agricultural historical background, not so much anymore, but still there.
That's still there in a big way. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you're either from Dublin or you're a farmer.
It's very much depleted, though.
You know,
yeah.
You're from the Pale or you're a farmer.
Yeah,
that's it. There's nothing else to do with the country, really.
No, there isn't really.
All right, look, I'm just gonna head straight into this one. We're gonna dive head first into the depths of Wild Mountain Thyme and try and figure out what the hell is going on here.
Tell me what the hell is going on?
Okay. So,
and what the hell is going on?
I mean, a whole lot of nothing, really, to be honest. It's so right. Okay, so the movie starts, and it's a voiceover by Christopher Walken, who plays one of the dads. He's the Riley father, whatever. His name's not important. And the opening lines of the movie, he says, "My name is whatever Riley, and I'm dead."
Yeah,
and. God, Jesus, isn't he the lucky one? Because
he really is.
I mean,
but to be fair, dead is a big motif in this movie.
Man, there's no motifs in this movie.
I mean, death is. That's a big motif in this movie.
A lot of people die. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. And it's all,
very quickly, actually. Yeah, so this is the start of the movie, and Rosemary Muldoon, played by Emily Blunt. So you have the Muldoons and the Rileys, who have big farms of land right next to each other. And the two kids, Anthony and Rosemary, have grown up beside each other their whole lives, blah, blah, blah. Rosemary's been in love with Anthony since she was a wee one, we think, sort of. It's implied.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not implied. It's a kind
She's
of
been spying on him when she was on trees, looking at him.
Yeah, she's like in love with him or whatever. And
he's smelling flowers and stuff.
He's a bit of a fucking weirdo. And basically, Rosemary's father passes away at the start of the movie, and it's after the funeral. They're all chatting, and next thing,
don't forget the major character element of this father. He shoots crows.
Oh, he shoots crows. Yeah, Rosemary's father was at war with the crows, as is stated in the start of the movie. To no real point, I think. No. He just didn't like crows, and he had a gun that he definitely didn't have a license for, and he used to shoot crows. Kept the land clean of crows. But he's dead now, and
he is.
Anthony's father, Mr. Riley, says, "Oh, sure, I might not leave the farm to me son. Sure, he's useless. Yeah. He's a big Kelly heading him. I don't like him."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And Anthony, who hates the fucking farm, cannot stand the place and wants nothing more than to get out of her, but refuses to leave for some reason, is really annoyed at this and says, "No, I want the farm." And his father says, "Well, sure, unless you get married, I'm selling the farm to your cousin in America."
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the plot starts and ends.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony now is like, right, I have to get married. So he finally takes a fine, good look at Rosemary, who, I mean, she's Emily Blunt. So, like, I don't know how you would look if your neighbour looked like Emily Blunt. I don't know how you'd not want that.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be sweet on her.
You'd think he'd like her, and she'd be like, "Oh, fuck off, leave me alone," kind of stuff. But I don't know. That's kind of, it progresses from there into, it just gets more and more strange and kind of messy.
Yeah, I mean,
every
I
minute
we should say, like, the first scene we really see of them together as paddles is when they're in the cow shed and the bull or something is not breathing right or something like that. He's vomiting out worms or something along the lines.
Yeah, Anthony says he gave him worm tablets and he's throwing them up or something, I think.
Yeah, but we're getting into the part now where they communicate with each other. And this gets progressively more poetic throughout the movie. It starts off with like they kind of have a little bit of a like all like poetry is like, "Oh, isn't the sky lovely?" But sure, look, the ground is good too. And it's all this kind of reflecting on each other motifs. And like anything one says, the other one will argue in some other like way. And it just kind of, it's like Oscar Wilde had 2 children, and now the children are interested in incest. You know?
What? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
folks.
it is. Yeah, but that's all
Oscar
right.
Wilde's interested in incest.
Okay, we're just gonna go right off the bat, because I know the majority of the country at this stage, surely to God, has seen the trailer for, at very least, they've seen the trailer for this movie. And everybody, the first question on everyone's lips, or the first comment, will be the accents. All right?
Yeah.
And it's a fair point that it is extremely rare that when a non-Irish person is cast to play an Irish person in a movie, it's utterly rare that they get the accents right.
Yeah.
Ever.
Also, I mean, just to our non-Irish friends, as you imagine in your states and your counties, there are many different accents within Ireland itself, like. Yeah. And it's not even one of those things like, oh, you know, the accents kind of sound the same. No, you can have a very obviously distinct accent one county over.
They're
like, or like different. Even if you want to go more broad, like compare a Kerry accent to a Dublin accent, and it sounds like a different language. You know?
Yeah, they're totally different. There's like 4 main variants, and then there's whatever.
But even within them,
28 other subgroups of those 4.
Yeah. Yeah, so like that's the thing, when they do an Irish accent, it's usually either a Dublin accent, like a very soft Dublin accent, or sometimes a Cork accent when they want to do the whole la-di-da-di-do, hoo-di-da-di-do. It's
accent, no accent. It's a made up accent that Hollywood invented for The Quiet Man and said, this is what Irish people sound like. And they all just go, how to shirt in the Jesus, how the ho. And it's like, but that's not what they're doing in this at all either. They're trying. No. They are to give them some sort of a compliment. They are trying to do a specific Irish accent, which would be the thick Midlands accent that you would find where this is supposedly set, or at least where the play is set. The Mayo accent, where they're actually in the movie, is a bit different.
Yeah, very different. Yeah,
but they're not able to do it. Like Christopher Walken.
It's like a valley with him. He comes in and out of it, like constantly.
Yeah, and then he just sort of gives up, and he's just Christopher Walken again for a while.
Yeah,
which he was.
I mean, the thing is, if we didn't hear his voice, he'd look like the most stereotypical old Irish fella in the world. Like,
he looks like
it works.
He looks like my grandfather, sort of. Like he's just but he's probably the best you could say of the bunch in that. He's sort of, he does such a such a vague attempt at the accent, even in the beginning when he's actually trying, that it's hard to say like he's fucked that one up completely, because it's not. It's only barely there.
You don't hear the tension in it. He's not really like, he's not constantly go, oh come on, really Irish now, really.
Yeah,
and you don't feel that. It just sounds like it sounds like someone who left to America when they were like 17 and came back when they were like 70. Like there's obviously he's mostly American, but little tips of Irish are coming in out there.
There's some words that he puts the Irish on, and the rest is just kind of him. And then Emily Blunt is
not great.
Like there's about 2 sentences in the whole movie that she says where you think, oh, that was pretty good. She did that well now.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, like she sounds like she has an ice cream in her mouth.
She does the Dublin version of the accent a little bit more.
I don't even think she does. She's just like, it's like she's heard the accent. You can clearly hear what she's going for, and that she's attempting to do an accent. But like,
I'll give her one thing: she had the energy right, though. Like the accent might not have been right, but the energy, how she rushed her sentences and all that kind of stuff, that was fairly good.
Again, in places, like there's parts of it that are, because there's 1 or 2 like dropped in little scenes or lines or something that
closer to the end of the movie, actually,
that had us even going, oh yeah, no, that's fair enough. Like that, you'd hear my mother says that the whole time, kind of thing, like or whatever.
Yeah, but, don't stand over me there where you sit down. That kind of stuff.
But it's that's, and then Jamie Dornan, like, this man is Irish.
He was
because like I don't think the country's going to let him anymore. Which
he's not allowed back on the airport.
Like as if 50 Shades of Grey wasn't bad enough. Now he's subjected us to this. I think
then he's given out to us as well.
Yeah. He has a fair point in what he said.
I mean, he has a fair point that Irish people complain about everything. But to be fair, in this case, we actually have a point.
We do, but we do love to give out about stuff. That's look at us. Yeah. We've made a podcast about it.
Literally, I mean, how many times have we given about Americans or British people already? Like,
and it's gonna fucking continue in this one. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, I'm not saying no, but we are a bunch of give outers. But
his accent in this is atrocious. It's shocking. And honestly, like, if you're gonna go ahead and change the setting from the play, why not just change it to the north, or like Roscommon or somewhere where Jamie Dornan's from, and let him speak in his real accent, and cast some Irish people.
Yeah,
stick an Irish woman in there and have her be Irish, like.
But John Patrick Shanley would tell you that the Irish accent is a bit too complicated for people abroad, and you have to dumb it down, which really is just kind of terribly offensive.
No.
I'm not even saying offensive to us. I mean offensive to other countries.
To everyone else? No, I wouldn't take offense to that, no. There's plenty of accents,
Yeah, but
if you heard a fella speaking in a really thick Russian accent, you'd ask him to talk a bit slower. And people do. When I was in America, I didn't talk in the fullness of my Irishness accent.
You turned it down a little bit.
You have to tone it down a little bit, like, because they won't understand what you're saying. You kind of, that's just Americans in general. You have to talk slow, but like,
I don't know. I
would.
think that's a shame.
You would. It's like if you go on holidays, you go in and try and talk to somebody, and you talk slower, like.
Yeah, but that's usually when people are speaking a different
language barrier.
language.
I mean,
I'm talking.
Our variation on the English language can be a different language.
I mean,
sometimes.
look, I'll be the first one to say when I'm talking to people, I don't like abroad. I wouldn't use like words like crack, grand, sure, like you'd be grand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be using those kind of phrases. But like, I don't think I boil down my accent too much, especially because most people love the accent. So I usually pump it up a little bit more. It's like, oh yes, oh.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. You have your own accent though.
Yeah, it's for people that don't know, I was born in Germany and I've lived here for the last 20 years.
Yeah. So there's hints of other things in your accent.
Yeah, and my mother, she was born in England, so there's a bit of an English influence to my accent too. But even then, like, my accent is prominently Irish.
We're deep diving into Dan. Tell us about your childhood.
Well, yeah, no, I would say my accent is prominently Irish, though.
Yeah, no, it is. A lot of it is. Yeah, but
yeah. A few words that come out. Oh, what's that?
Back to the movie.
Look, folks. This is far more interesting. No, you agree with me? Yeah.
No, the accents.
Right.
Look, the accents are bad. They're terrible. But honestly, they're not the strangest or the worst thing about this movie.
Oh God, no.
That's all I'll say. That's what
No.
we'll say for the time being.
Yeah.
But
there's some people who listen to say, "I know, right?"
Yeah, they know what's coming. Anyone who's seen this knows what's coming. And
it can't be anything else.
Good Lord. Right, but so the rest of the plot then, I suppose, continues on from there. There's a stretch of land, there's a bit of road frontage down at the bottom of one of the fields that
just like a strip of two gates on either side.
Gates that Mr. Riley, Tony sold it to the Muldoons like 20 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever the fuck. And they just use it now they have to pass through two gates because they're crossing the Muldoon's land when they come home, and they hate it. And the old lad wants to buy it back off the Rileys before he sells the farm to the Americans. They won't sell it back. The wife says, I can't sell it back to you. I don't own it. Rosemary owns it. Rosemary says, I won't sell it to you. It's mine. I don't know, whatever. She's having a mood.
I don't think she talked much about it, to be honest.
Well, John Hamm makes his appearance then. He lands in from America. The big Yank comes in and says, my dream has always been to be a farmer.
Which is, as we all know, everyone's dream.
Just odd in and of itself.
Yeah.
He says to her, how many acres do you have? And
because he's a big banker now himself.
He's a big banker.
He's a big wanker.
Yeah. But he says he comes home for Tony's 75th birthday, and he says to Rosemary, how many acres do you have? And Rosemary says, I don't know, actually. I couldn't tell you exactly.
Which is a huge inconsistency with reality.
Absolutely. This man has never met an Irish farmer before, because there's not an Irish farmer alive today that doesn't know to the millimetre how much land they have and exactly where it ends and extends to. And all the places that they argue with people that's my land, not yours. That bit of that tree over there, the biggest root is on my land. It's not your land. Like...
Yeah, it's big business, like.
But in the world of this movie, none of the farmers know how much land they have, because it comes up again later. He asks Anthony the same question later on. How many acres do you have, Anthony? And Anthony says, Jesus, sure, I don't know exactly. I couldn't tell you.
No.
It's just an untruth. One of many mystical untruths about Ireland that take place in this film, including...
Or at least extremely outdated.
Well, yeah, including what year we live in.
Yeah, because we were arguing about this for a while, because for a long time somebody was saying, oh, this must be like the late 70s, 80s, like, for sure. Like, there's gas lamps here and stuff.
Yeah, that's and look, whatever. Look, right, there are parts of the country, matter of fact, in most parts of the country, you will find an old farmhouse like that, with an old fella living in it, who doesn't have a telly, just a farmer, whatever.
Yeah,
fine. No arguments there. But it's the rest of it. It's the fact that, like, Rosemary dresses like she's weaving baskets out in the Aran Islands in 1842.
Yeah.
Like, she's just going around with a shawl and a wee dress on her, and, like...
Yeah.
It's just a fucking mess altogether. And
I know we're kind of meant to be... To be fair, we're meant to be kind of understand that she's a very sort of what's the best way to say it? Whimsical person. She's there's some heavy like hippie vibes from her.
Did you get that from her?
Oh, very much, like from the start.
I didn't get much off her other than I smoke fags and I'm in love with Anthony.
And I look at shotguns in the cupboard, which stopped me from committing suicide.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, like, she has issues. Like, I didn't look at her wearing a fucking shawl and think, oh, yes, she's a bit of a wild. I don't know. I didn't look.
Bohemian, maybe is the best way to say it. She's a bit bohemian.
I don't know. I think you're applying something to her that's not there in that instance. To be honest,
I don't know.
I don't think she's supposed to be that at all. She's a
Mm.
nut job. Everyone in the movie is crazy, by the way.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're all, you know, they're a bit mad, and
Yeah.
they're, you know, the Irish are a bit mad, but
We
like,
are, yeah.
so is everyone. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just this man, like John Patrick Shanley, right? Born in America.
Yeah.
No.
To Irish parents, I think.
It says to, like, I was trying to find out. It just, all I could see was that he's born to an Irish American family. Now I don't know if
Okay.
he's
What
first
generation
generation
that is, yeah.
or like, or what it is. I think the quote about him when he said about like softening the Irish accent, he mentioned his parents' accents. So maybe they were from Ireland or something. But
Yeah.
his notion of Ireland is like a man who his only like real clue to what it was like here was the lyrics to the fucking song that they sing 17 times throughout this film.
Yeah.
Wild Mountain go, lassie
Again.
go.
I mean, again, I like there's those scenes in the pub, and we were joking, well, there must be just one old fella in the back going like, why the fuck are they singing that shite again?
Yeah, they sing the song Wild Mountain Thyme, or Will You Go Lassie Go, whatever name you want to call it.
Yeah.
They sing that, like Anthony's mother sang it when he was a young lad. She sang it all around the house. And then it's just like a thing. They just keep singing it. And it, you know what? Okay, cool, right. That's where they got the title of the movie from, I guess. But like, it's not even that Irish of a song. Like,
No.
it's not. You could argue it's a Scottish song, like.
I mean, you could, but I don't know. I think a lot of people think of it as an Irish song. And also, I mean, a big thing of it, I think it's a lot about the theme and like what the soul of what's to be Irish, that it's both this marriage between being miserable but delight in the small things, and that's what Irish time is. It's celebrating both the dark times and the good times, and I think that's a very Irish thing. You're going to just say no to me again, but you know I'm right.
Wild Irish Time.
Did I say it again?
You said it
There
again.
you go, folks. I can't say Wild Mountain Thyme because this movie is so unashamedly trying to be Irish, and my brain just goes Irish.
This is a Wild Irish Time. That's what this movie is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is the page 3 of the Irish Times.
Yeah, that. Wild Irish Time. Up this week. Georgia Salpa in the nip. We go back to the boom.
Oh,
Back to the boom when all the government just got like models to stand in bikinis on Grafton Street to like announce things.
Really?
Yeah, there'd be a new photo in the paper every week. You'd have like, not Leo Varadkar because he wasn't around at the time, but whoever the fuck was the minister.
Leo Varadkar in a bikini.
Yeah, Leo Varadkar in a bikini. No, you'd have like Nadia Ford or somebody like just in a bikini and high heels standing in the middle of Grafton Street in September in Ireland.
Andy Kenny going.
Yeah, you'd have Bertie Ahern or one of the boys like holding up a hurley for the All Ireland there, standing there going, it's all, and just All Ireland madness sweeps Dublin, and then the Celtic Tiger crashed and died, and we gave it a lethal
So there are
injection.
hopes and dreams for everyone who was around the
and
age of 15, 16.
Everyone our age fell to pieces and got depressed, and we're making a podcast. But anyway,
Hey. And we're just in time for the next one.
woohoo! Oh God, we do make ourselves
Next
sad.
podcast will be just us speaking about death announcements in the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can do it.
Anyway, I like that we keep on moving away from this movie, having this conversation about the movie.
I don't know how to talk about it properly, all right? There's things that happen in this movie, and I don't think I have any sort of framing.
Can we talk about the fantastic shrinking boat?
Oh, yeah.
So like this, it's one of those old Irish boats, the round ones. It's just like branches curved with like twigs of leather around it. Like it's a very non-nautical boat, but it's usually just used for small excursions onto a lake or a river to do a bit of fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see the man himself. What's his face? I even fucking forgot his name. But
Jamie Dornan.
He's Jamie Dornan. Where his character's name is. I was trying to come up with that.
Yeah.
And he's standing in the boat, and you know what's going to happen next. One sees him walking up, and she calls his name, and he turns, and he falls into the water, and he falls down to the bank of the river bend, and he finds a ring mysteriously in the dirt, and it seems precious to him. No, not that. But anyway, he comes back out, and the boat's quite big in the river. Like he could sit in it and up to his shoulders, right? I think that's a fair estimation to say, right? But then when he brings it to the land, they obviously there must have been a moment on set where he tried to drag up the actual boat and couldn't manage it, so they got him a much smaller, more shallow boat that was able to pull onto the riverbank. And it's very obvious, like you can't not notice it.
Well, it was more the length of it for me. Like it looked like a canoe type thing when he was in it in the river, and then it's like a perfectly circular little, like a turtle shell type thing that he pulls up out of the river.
It changes dramatically in shape, whatever way it is, anyway.
And Rosemary's just standing on the riverbank, forlorn and windswept, as she is.
Yeah.
Her horse has run away again.
I mean, I can't wait till Emily Blunt does Peg Sayers. Like, she'd be great for it.
Oh, she's nailed on for it now. This was her audition, I think, to be honest. That's what she was going for. Peg Sayers, Woman of Ireland.
But yeah, there's a lot of those kind of weird scenes. Like, and, let's talk again about, like, the weird poetic conversations they always have. Because, like, most of the other characters, it's just normal conversation going on. Like, there is no real fanciful talking. It's just normal Irish
it's just when when Anthony and Rosemary talk to each other, like, almost all of their conversations in the movie begin with Rosemary asking Anthony a question, and he answers it. He answers her with a line of a poem or something. Like, not an actual line of a poem, but it sounds like he's quoting
it sounds
something.
Very poetic.
It sounds like, "Oh, sure, I'm a man raised too low in the ground to rise himself above the mountains that surround him now," and all this kind of stuff.
And she's like, "But then there is the sky which you can reach to."
Like, but there are stars in the ground sometimes too, and they shine brightest when the mountains are not. And it's just like,
I wouldn't mind, but that's like 90% of the conversations are like that. And it's just like,
and it's just them two. Like when they're talking to other people, him and the father are talking half the time, and they're just like taking the piss out of the neighbors and stuff, and it's kind of like, that's grand, that's kind of, and then just as soon as they start talking, they turn into fucking W.B. Yeats or something, and it's like, what are you even trying to say anymore? I don't know. And the first time it happens, like, I think it's Rosemary asks Anthony, is he happy or something, or does he like it, and he says, "Oh, sure, how?" He goes off on a big spiel about how could he.
The cows eat the grass and the weeds off the cows.
Yeah, he explains the circle of life essentially in response. He's like, well, the cows the grass grows and the cows eat the grass and we eat the cows, and then I go back into the ground and sure that's my and all this, and he walks off, and Rosemary says to nobody, "Oh Jesus, when he talks like that, me heart," and you're like, what the fuck? What do you want about Rosemary? You explain to me what he just said, because he just said nonsense, and that's
this movie is a lot of nonsense. That's a good way to describe the movie. It's nonsense.
It's complete nonsense. The whole movie is nonsense. Like it's kind of all over the place. But we will move on to the next section and attempt to pick out a couple of things we liked, God help us, and a couple of things we didn't like.
we shall strike a balance between culture and fun.
Right, go on. 3 things you liked about Wild Mountain Irish Thyme.
I mean, I'm grasping at straws here, but visually, it's a very gorgeous movie.
Yeah, I mean, it makes Ireland look pretty pleasant.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
reused the same shot of a road and a mountain like 6 times in the movie, but
Yeah,
it's, Ireland looks grand. Ireland is a very visually pleasing place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Other things I just liked about it. Jeez, see how quickly
you're
dislike.
jumping ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Other things I liked about it. I mean, one thing I like about Ireland, and I think it's a big part of our culture, is we like whimsy. We like talking about ridiculous, stupid things that don't really make that we kind of use to distract ourselves from the miserable stuff. And I think there's a lot of it in that. I think there's also a lot. I think there's a lot of Irishness in it. To be fair, there's that hard-headed stubbornness, like the father saying, like, "Oh Jesus, I'm going to give it to your cousin and the farm, and when I die, because you're too much of a Tracy in your face, and
A Kelly,
and like
yeah.
a Kelly in your face, and like those are the kind of things I like. We've all had those conversations, like in our house, not necessarily giving land to someone, but like you might say, yeah, you look more like my side of the family, and you're more like that. Oh, you're more like your uncle here, and that. There's a lot of like family comparisons, and I think it got that done well. To be fair,
in bits and pieces, there's a line here or there that you can kind of go,
I think there is a spirit of Irishness there.
Something.
I think it's very much diluted a lot, but there is a spirit of it.
We're happy being miserable.
Yeah, we're happy being miserable, and it's. I guess it's nice to see on screen.
Yeah. If we weren't miserable, what would we give out about?
Yeah. And honestly, I can't think of anything more that I like about the movie. I mean,
well, I mean,
we have an Anna Jesus moment that I love for the absurdity, but we'll leave it.
We'll get to that. I think people know what it's going to be, but we will get to it. See, thinking Cap is on today. I have about 100 million things I loved about this movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Were any of them non-ironic?
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
This is how well I know him.
I made it. No, I have. Right, there's 3 things, and they're all not things. All right. I liked the first scene in the pub solely because I miss pubs. They're closed in Ireland at the moment. They have been for most of this year, and I miss them.
Yeah, I mean, for the right reasons, but jeez.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah. Yes.
You wouldn't put people's lives at danger to have another pint.
No, only maybe. Anyway,
my own life in danger, sure, but not others. No, couldn't do that.
I liked Rosemary's horse that kept running away.
Oh yeah.
He was the audience. I think it was nice. Yeah. It was clever of the director to put a character in there who just wanted to be anywhere else at all.
I like that a lot of the times they looked at the horse and said, look, he's having fun running around, but really the horse looked very distressed.
Oh, the horse was going mental. The horse lost that horse had something wrong with that horse, like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked the character of Bad News Cleary.
Oh yeah. Because we have a theory. We don't think he's actually in the movie.
I don't think
he's a fellow who ran on set the whole time, and that's where he's been chased for the whole donkey fucking
I
thing.
think he's the farmer whose lands they were filming on, and he just kept turning up every day and going, well lads, how you going? I'm in the movie now. Whoa. But his character, just some random old fella that just turns up every once in a while and gives bad news, and the people they've given him a nickname. Bad news.
To be honest, it's the best scene though. He's in the best scene in the movie where he says, "Oh, my mother's inside there. Do you want to go and talk to her?" I will not.
Yeah, I will not.
Drives off.
Yeah, he's a bit.
Okay, that's Irish. Yeah.
He's a bit touched, like this fella. He thinks he's at the birthday party and he thinks the pudding has been poisoned for some reason. It's just a throwaway line he says to John Hamm's character. That. Have you eaten the pudding? Don't. I think it's gone bad. Or something. And then that's it. That's the end of the scene. He just walks off. Well, I liked him. He was funny.
Yeah.
In a non-ironic way. He was funny. And,
He was, yeah.
That was it. Those are 3 things I liked.
What about that one-day trip to New York?
Yeah. Look,
Did
to
you
be
like that, no?
fair, multiple characters in the movie call out how weird and stupid of a thing to do that was.
Yeah.
That
Again, this is the whole whimsy thing, though. Like, she is kind of like under her own law. Like,
Rosemary just says, fuck it, I'm going to New York, and flies to New York for a day. Comes home.
with Aer Lingus.
With Aer Lingus, yeah, it must have cost her about $6,000 to get over there and stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
And she bought tickets to the Swan Lake, which comes up a
I
lot.
love that she went back and went, yeah, I was in New York. How'd you afford it? Well, I actually sold the farm. I'm moving out soon.
Yeah,
This is the end of the movie.
I had to sell that half acre below that you were looking for to afford a flight
Wait,
to New York.
what's a half acre? I don't know the size of my land.
I didn't even realize that was mine. Are you sure? You sold it to me? That could be yours. I don't know. Yeah. Go on then. 3 things you didn't like.
I mean, there's going to be some controversial things because I know there are parts of Ireland that still have that, but first of all, the fashion sense felt like it was in the 1980s. How he talks about, oh, sure, I can't go to church after this. I got caught. And this is not trying to take offense on anyone who is Christian and all that kind of stuff, but it just stripped of the whole old Irish idea that, oh, sure, everyone goes to church, and sure, you wouldn't say anything to offend the church or the mass or anything like that. That just annoyed me. I think it's an old, sort of outdated stereotype of Ireland, and I'm just not a big fan of it. Then other things I didn't like. I mean, I didn't like the accents. I mean, it's a low hanging fruit here.
Yeah, I mean,
the accents they're
terrible.
shite.
So like,
I don't understand why you couldn't choose Irish actors predominantly for this. I know they probably the studio pushing it a little bit, saying, "Oh, get some American actors, heighten your thing." I feel like they could have just had Irish actors and then just have John Hamm, and that would have had enough notoriety for most people to pay attention. I mean, what is it not like? I mean, I didn't like that there wasn't really a story, I guess. There wasn't. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, right, so, as has been established, I watch a lot of these kind of stupid romantic nonsense movies, right? But in all of them, even the bad ones, there's a conceit within the movie that makes it either so that the two people who hate each other are forced together and they fall in love, or two people love each other and are forced apart. There's not even there's none, like, these people are just there, and they're just like, Anthony.
It just hasn't happened yet.
But it's established. It's established in the movie that Anthony has been in love with a different girl his whole life.
Yeah.
And she said no to him when he asked her to marry him, and now he's like, he's done with, like, he's never been in love with Rosemary. He's never had anything. He just, like, he was mean to her as a little girl, and that's all we get. And Rosemary's like been fawning after him all her life or whatever. When again, all she had to go down to Killala and she would have found a husband overnight, like, because she's Emily Blunt.
I don't even want to say this movie could have been better. I don't think it could have been better much. I mean, I kind of want to watch the play now just to see, like, what the deal is, really.
You didn't. Well, I mean, it's not on anymore, but when it was on, Deborah Messing from Will and Grace played Emily Blunt's character, and her accent was worse than anything in this movie. There's clips of her on YouTube in some scenes from outside Mullingar, and she does the proper, like, "Oh, the Jane, how are you days? Oh, the Jesus, Anthony, how are you?" Like, it's worse than the, like, sort of attempt at decency we got from the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
So we had a few drinks watching this.
Thank God.
Yeah. And we laughed at a lot of this, but I don't think we laughed when, the audience please laugh moments were there.
No, we're laughing at it, not with it.
Yeah. And I'll never watch this movie again.
Oh, I will.
I wouldn't even... Okay, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you will. I know.
I'll
you
watch
will,
it
but
again in a heartbeat.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
I might watch it again to right now tonight after we finish recording.
Would you drink it? Would you drink it sober? Jesus, would you watch it sober?
Yeah, I'm just
Oh
gonna stick it
no.
on and have a great time.
Yeah. Oh, a mountain time.
All right, okay. Look, we've covered those things. Let's move on to the moment.
Look, we're
We've-
all waiting for it. Come on.
Yeah, all right, let's go. The Jesus moment. This is it. Bring it home. How do I even begin? How do you explain this? I don't think it can be explained.
The worst thing is, there was even evidence before we found out that
That's the
this
thing.
was
It's
a thing.
actually foreshadowed in the movie. Okay?
Yeah, but you could study this film without that scene at the end a million years and never predict that fateful sentence.
Right, okay. So here's the deal. All right, for anyone who hasn't seen it, this is a big spoiler for Wild Mountain Thyme. Right, if you're not into that.
Is it?
I mean, I could say what it is, and I mean, look, right, it's a plot, it's a thing that happens right at the end of the movie, so people will think that's a spoiler. So just shut up. Right, okay. So we find out that the reason that Anthony is not into Rosemary, sort of, is because he thinks he's a honeybee. Now, I'm going to repeat that because people probably think they've heard me wrong. No. He literally, and I'm not talking spiritually or like just like any sort of metaphor.
He prayed to God to fix this.
He literally thinks he is a honeybee trapped in a human man's body. That's it.
He prays. He prays at the beginning of the movie, asking God, why did he make him this way? Can he fix him? He smells a flower and gets pollen all over his nose because he believes, and Owen, say again, what does he believe?
He is a honeybee.
And this is not a joke. This is not this must mean some like metaphor. No.
A honeybee.
He thinks
he is a honeybee. Like this it just comes so out of left field that I can't even understand what they're trying to say with this. Like it's not like it's a spiritual, like, spiritually I think I'm more akin to like a honeybee because I need to be free and roam around and I won't be tied down and I have a lifespan that lasts a month or I don't know, whatever. But like, no, the man literally like has some sort of deficiency in his brain when he thinks he is literally a honeybee.
At that stage of the movie, even though both these characters are very strange in their own rights, it was this moment where I thought, is this a movie to highlight mental illness in rural Ireland?
I honestly don't think so.
I mean, it makes sense then. It would make sense. The only like
the build up to the reveal is Rosemary saying that she's depressed and threatening to murder him and asking him is he gay and all these kind of stuff that like she's like, I've thought through every possibility, like no matter what you say it's gonna be fine because I've dealt with it all already. I've thought through everything. Just tell me why you don't want to sleep with me, why you won't marry me. And he said, like, actually emotionally breaks down, starts crying and says, I think I'm a honeybee. And she runs away. She legs it, says, right, I'm done here. Well, no, that's not true. To be fair, they get in the car.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, if she did run, don't blame her.
I wouldn't blame her at all. I'd sell the farm immediately and marry the cousin. I'd be like, no, sorry, I'd marry I wouldn't marry my...
Like, I'm a weird woman, but that's a bit too far.
Yeah, like, and she is shocked. Clearly, she's taken aback by this fact, and then they get in the car and they're driving off, and she's all over the place, and she's asking him like literally, like, you literally think you're a honeybee, not like a, cause like I've thought that I'm kind of like a swan and all this or whatever. And he's like, no, like literally, I am literally a honeybee inside my head.
And then the only logical instinct of her kicks in, and she drives into a tree.
She tries to kill them both.
Yeah,
Says,
which is fair play to her. Fair play to her.
End our lives now. Yeah, she had a right idea, but they survive, unfortunately.
Sadly.
And they have their big like romantic "I love you" stuff in the rain, and she says, "I don't care that you're a honeybee. Sure, I'm a swan." And he says, "Oh, well, you shut up! You're not a swan. I'm a honeybee," or something. I don't know.
You know what? It got just so bizarre that I kind of expected the camera to zoom sideways, look at the collie that one of them owns, and just have the collie like polymorph into Christopher Walken and him just like winking towards the camera and walking off. Because at that stage, anything goes. You know,
yeah,
it was so bizarre. They might as well have done that now.
Yeah, honestly, I thought they were going to end it with the two of them like physically transforming into bees and flying off or something.
Yeah,
I thought that's what was coming at this point. It was just like so utterly bizarre. It was so weird, and that's probably like the rest of the movie is just kind of another bland, overly done attempt at like selling Ireland to Hollywood as some sort of fictional fairy tale land where people speak in poetic verse and everything's still 1503 sort of stuff. But then just this happens and you're like, what? This isn't an Irish stereotype that I'm aware of.
Is it? Is that just what the Yanks go about? Oh, Jesus. The Irish, you know, all think they're bees or swans.
Oh, they're all bees.
I like, I want
swans.
to go into Meet America and said, yeah, that's the stereotype of you. I was like, sorry, what?
What, really? Wow, okay.
Then I go back to the fella who made this movie and go, I'm sorry.
Look, I'm sorry I ever said anything wrong about you. Clearly you know Ireland more than I know it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. He thinks he's a honeybee. Let's try and sum this up in our final thoughts.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
Well, can you
can
you summate your feelings for Wild Mountain Thyme?
You know, I would, but look, this comes in a long line of the same old Americanized, old paddy Irish whackery nonsense, which has no basis in reality. I mean, you enjoy beyond that? I don't even think it's a good movie beyond that. But what I would say is, if you just want to have a laugh at weird, bizarre things, there's good crack, there's humor in it, be it on purpose or not. But outside of that, no, it's a bad movie in just about every way. I don't have time for this kind of thing. I'd love to actually see more Irish movies, you know, maybe directed by Irish people, or at least directors who have some notion of what Ireland is in the present day and do movies. It doesn't even have to be about the present. You have loads of, like, Angela's Ashes is a fantastic movie about Ireland, like, you know. It's over dramatized in parts, you know, and it's painted a bit darker than it probably was, but there was an authenticity, and I don't think there was anything authentic about this. It was like some sort of, you know, other universe version of fantasy, you know, Kingdom of Ireland kind of shite. Yeah,
I think, like you said, like, if I was viewing this as an outsider, as a non-Irish person who had never been to Ireland and who's only kind of, you know, so just some madman who really believed that the Emerald Isle is some land out of time caught between a fairy tale and a nightmare, that like, maybe this is the kind of nonsensical garbage romantic drivel you'd like. But I think even by the low standards of like rom-coms made for streaming services, it's still not very good.
No.
The movie, the plot of the movie itself, like stripping away our like biased opinions on the Irishness of it, it's still not very good.
No,
And doesn't really make any sense. You know, like the two leads are not in love with each other to begin with. But then again, your man also thinks he's a honeybee, so who are we to really argue with him? Do you know?
Sane person.
Yeah.
Sane kind
I
of
don't
sane
know.
people.
Like for me, I'm a crazy person who loves like completely awful garbage movies, and I will probably watch this again, and it has currently overtaken Leap Year as my favorite awful depiction of Ireland in a Hollywood movie. Which,
wow,
that's a big.
I listened to that podcast you made.
That is a big thing because Leap Year is just like they're different. Like Leap Year doesn't understand Ireland in a geographical sense. Like this doesn't understand Ireland in a cultural or philosophical sense. I don't know. It's bad. It's a bad movie. It's a very bad movie. It's as bad as it looks in the trailers, if not worse.
And the accent is by far the least weird bad thing, even though it itself is still bad.
Yeah, but they got a bit of Guinness sponsorship in there, so it's all grand.
They did.
Don't worry about it. They do drink Guinness in it, if anyone is wondering.
Yeah. It's not as good as the pubs, though.
They say that.
Which is a very Irish sentence.
They do say that. They say that, and then they proceed to split a small bottle of Guinness between them, poured into two
shot glasses,
like
basically.
water table glasses. So they immediately
small ones too. Like
they immediately lose any cool points they gained by the Guinness line.
Like I was saying, they could have done one thing that would reclaim the entire movie. Was like, oh, do you want a sandwich? I'll go off and make you a sandwich. If she came back with a potato sandwich,
they
I'd be
needed
like,
a bag of potatoes.
It's back. It's all right.
No, in this film they would have come down with a pack of Nordy potatoes or something. Then it would have been
no, it'd be like Walkers or something, you know, and it'd be put next to the sandwich.
Oh God, Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you have it. There is our thoughts, our show on Wild Mountain Thyme, which is a mess from start to finish. In response, if any of you have seen it, even if you haven't seen it, my question for you this week is, if you were an animal, what kind of honeybee would you be?
Oh God.
No, I don't know. Just like watch the movie. Let us know what you think. I'm excited actually to see what non-Irish people think of it. I know we have a couple of people who listen to us in the States. And
I know, because there's someone who keeps talking about the podcast to me, but never comments. So please,
like
say something in the comments.
I'd be excited to see what other people think of it who aren't Irish, because there's not nobody who's from Ireland could watch this and think they've nailed it. It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's exactly what it's like in my hometown.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Should I mention what movie I'm choosing the next one?
Oh yes, please do.
Yes. I thought we continue in this weird, culturally inappropriate series of movies, and we are going to watch The Last Samurai.
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere totally different there when you said culturally inappropriate. Yeah,
I
okay.
mean,
cool. Yeah, that's a great movie. All right,
anyway,
okay. Thank you everyone
folks,
for listening.
Yeah, anyone listening, thanks for listening. I know we keep on talking about how you would be lovely if you comment, but honestly, listening is also really appreciated. It's nice to see there's some people interested. And hey, look, if you want an actual question you can ask or answer, tell us a movie we should review in the comments, please. That'd be nice. Maybe we'll do it, because if someone comments, we might just do it, because we want some sort of interaction.
And now, if you were a honeybee,
what movie would you choose for us to review?
How would you spend your days wandering around the hills of Ireland? Would you go up or down and around?